Chapter 12. On a hillock, a girl was picking oranges and putting them in a doku. Some of the orange trees were taller than she was thought. I couldn't say that for all the trees. Was she taller or were the trees taller? She was totally absorbed in her task. At one point, she lost her balance and fell onto the mustard fields by the hillock. Her basket tipped over and ripe oranges rolled out. She stood brushing up the mustard flowers stuck to her dress. One under the hillock was a boy, her brother. His basket was almost full. The girl began to hurry, trying to catch up. She had to fill her doku, then go home to help cook lunch and wash the dishes. We had stayed overnight at her house. She had served us dinner, then arranged our beds, all the while her brother was studying by the light of a kerosene lamp. Siddhartha and his friends had chatted with the children's father. Tossing and turning in my sleeping bag, I didn't fall asleep till late. I could hear Siddhartha's voice, sometimes raised, sometimes subdued. He was explaining history to the old man, telling him why his daughter should participate in the People's War. He and his comrade had already recruited a dozen girls from the village, but the old man was reluctant to let his daughter go. In the end, they gave him a day to make up his mind. Siddhartha was probably still cajoling the old man even as I was the girl picking oranges. This might be the last time she would ever pick oranges in her family's orchard. My son and I will be alone if you take her, the old man had pleaded the night before. All we comrade will be your sons and daughters, Siddhartha replied. I haven't even given her a decent education. I feel bad about that, the old man said. Don't worry, father. When she joins the People's War, she will become wise. I was there on that hillock. She was as supple as the stem of mustard plant. She had a cheerful face. Her body was made of the water. Her body was made of the water which gurgled down from the high jungle and of the sweet juice of oranges. She had been formed by the caresses of the sun and by the fresh breeze. She was probably wearing the same dress she wore when she used to go to school a long time ago. The sunlight was sifting slowly from the mustard field to the hillock. The girl probably had many questions in her mind and much uncertainty in the heart. If she left with the comrades, she would always be worried about her father and her little brother. She knew she would meet many girls like herself in the jungle, but still her face was painted with fear. She wasn't the one who would decide her fate. It was up to her father. I kept looking at her. She kept picking oranges. Her basket was half full. The previous night, her father had sighed and asked, why did you boys join the war? For people like you, Ba, Siddhartha said. There is no electricity in your house, no telephone, no television. You don't have roads or market in which to sell your oranges. How long should we look up from the ground at the planes flying overhead carrying the rich? But it's all according to God's wish, the old man said. That's our biggest mistake, Siddhartha replied. We have been satisfying the misdeeds of the rich in the name of God, the old man argued. You were born and raised in these hills. How could we? How till who till the land know anything else? Siddhartha replied, there's no hospital. The help was a day's walk away, but there's no doctor there anyway. The primary school has only one teacher. How can he give a good education to the students? If we continue like this, we'll remain nothing but mere peasants for generations to come. That's true. The rich, the powerful, the exploiter, and the bourgeoisie have everything, Siddhartha continued. They can afford any health treatment they choose, all the education they want, and entertainment they like. They drive expensive cars and indulge themselves in luxury. But what do we have? Anyone can have those things if they become rich, the old man argued. It's only because we are poor that we don't have them. Siddhartha refused to give up. But who made us poor? No one was rich in the beginning. How can we ever become rich when a handful of people have captured the power of the state for themselves and their relatives, friends, and heirs? The old man looked lost. We'll never get anywhere till the power of the state rests in the hands of the people, Siddhartha said, sensing the old man was beginning to waver. Your daughter had to leave school while the children of the high and mighty get to study in America. It's they who will become the doctor, engineer, members of the planning commission, and political leaders of the future. They will hijack the development of the country. They will marry a daughter of one day, and even after you will marry your daughter of one day, and even after that, there will be no future for her except farming in the hills. Will she be able to send her children to good schools? Generations will continue to live in the hills as you do, as long as the rich keep running the country. From where I was standing behind a tree, the girl and her brother couldn't see me. They didn't know I was watching them. I wanted to look at the girl to my heart's content because she was unlikely to be the same person tomorrow. She might end up carrying a gun. Would she plan an attack on a police post one day? I couldn't imagine her as a revolutionary, a martyr. She couldn't even imagine being in such a huge mess. This girl was innocently picking oranges and putting them in her doku. Tomorrow, she could be cut down by a bullet, carried away in a basket, and buried in an unmarked grave. She would be drenched in blood, far away from the father and brother. I heard the girl's brother ask, "Will you go, Didi?" "I'll do whatever Ba says," she replied. "If you did go, when would you come back?" "How should I know? Do they give holidays for Dasai and TR? I don't know." "You will have to use a gun. Shoot people, make bombs. They say bombs make a very loud noise when they explode," he said. He said, "I have never even seen a gun." "I want to use a gun," the boy declared. "Have you ever seen one?" "I saw a hunter's gun once. I saw a hunter shoot a bird." "How it feel?" "That was a long time ago, on the way to school. There aren't any hunters anymore. They have taken all the hunters' gun away," the girl said. "That's why there are so many birds in the sky. I love the taste of pigeon," the boy said. "I don't like killing birds," she said. From this conversation, I realized the children hadn't seen the guns Siddhartha and his companions were carrying. But I had seen them. They had made me wonder why Siddhartha had brought me here. Why did he want me to see all this? Why did he want me to see an innocent girl being asked to rise her life, being to risk her life, and he and his comrade were trying to place a gun in the hands of a girl who was just a budding flower. They were trying to motivate other village youngsters to join up as well. They were emptying the village of its youth, and it upset me. Again, the girl lost her balance and fell into the mustard field. She cried out in pain this time, but her brother, his back to her, didn't hear her. I couldn't help her because that would have put an end to my eavesdropping. So I stayed still and did nothing, like a man devoid of feeling. "If you go, make sure you come back to see us often," her brother said. When there was no reply, he looked at the green field where the wheat was sprouting and towards the terrace planted with cauliflower. Where had the girl gone? He couldn't see her until she stood up again, nursing her bruised knees. Then she went back to picking oranges. "Bring me a gun when you come home," her brother said. "I'll learn how to use it." The girl didn't hear him properly. "Use what?" she asked. "A gun. Don't you have a study?" She scolded him. "Is that why you are going? Because you don't have to study?" "Maybe. In that case, I'll quit school too," he said. When the boy's doku was full, He prepared to go home. The girl went with him. I followed them, still unseen, walking along the elevated ridges separating the fields. The village was beautiful. I took in the cold, hard, the morning sun and the mustard flowers damaged in place by falling oranges. I breathed in the pure air while the butterflies took flight. I looked at the terrace covered with pale green stalks dancing in the wind. I looked at fallen leaves, the sky cautioned by fog, the stream that flooded the fields each monsoon, draining the sweat of the hill, the slippery path where farmers walked each day. We came up in a group of children returning home carrying dokos on their backs bigger than they were. A girl asked, "So are you going, Sanu?" When she stopped to talk, I stopped as well. "I won't go," the other girl said. "Well, I am going," said another. "How long do you have to keep carrying these dokos?" One of the other girls said, her voice turning into the cry of a revolutionary. "Our mothers did the same thing. Our sisters in law do it. Those dies are those dies are telling us the truth. My father doesn't want to let me go, but I said I am going anyway." Girls from other villages are joining up as well. Sanu answered softly. I couldn't hear what she said. I assumed there were many girls there, standing with baskets of oranges on their backs. I strained my neck, but from my vantage point, all I could see were a few heads and the tops of dokos silhouetted against the sun. If we had studied in boarding school, we could have become doctor or engineer, the revolutionary voice continued. We could have learned something. We would we wouldn't have to spend our lives picking oranges, cutting grasses, and looking after the mustard field. Our lives are wasted. Those guys are telling us the truth. If we take part in their struggle, at least our younger sisters and brothers might be able to get a proper education. "How stupid you are," another girl said. "Do you think we can give the younger ones a good education by killing people or getting killed ourselves?" Those guys are saying, the revolutionary voice continued, that if we don't take part in this struggle, Kathmandu will never take notice of us. No one will listen and no one will care. Nothing will change if we go on suffering silently and don't try to make our voices heard. I heard Sanu's brother say, "I'll go as well, Didi." Many voices cheated him. "You are too small. Go and play marbles." Sanu's brother scampered off and the gathering dispersed. At Sanu's house, the rice was almost cooked. Siddhartha was cooking potatoes and radish soup. Sanu looked surprised to see him cooking. We ate lunch in silence. Afterwards, I washed my plate with as my hands smelled of it for a long while afterwards. Siddhartha's friends washed the pot. Sanu's father said, "That pot was a gift to my wife on our marriage. This is the first time I have ever used it." He turned towards Sanu and said, "They want to take you away with them. What do you say, Chori?" Sanu was silent. She looked at the floor, leaning against one of the poles supporting the house. Her brother sat cross-legged beside her. Finally, she said to him, "Go to school." The old man turned and took Siddhartha's arm. "From today, you are responsible for the safety," he said with tears in his eyes. "Don't worry, Ba," Siddhartha said. "Your daughter will be one of our dear comrades in the great struggle." Siddhartha's friends had made the rounds of several houses and needed to brief him on the outcome of their recruitment drive. That afternoon, he left me to tour the village with them. I watched Sanu pack some oranges in a bag. Her father said, "Leave them, don't go to the market today. I'll sell the oranges tomorrow." "But I can sell them and be back by evening," she said. "No, get some rest," he said. "Who knows how long you will have to walk tonight." After a while, he added, "Take good care of yourself, Soli. Don't worry, Bhai, I'll be back soon. Tell Bhai to go to school every day and not look around." "Don't worry about us," the old man said. "Just make sure that when you are walking with them, you don't walk in the very front or at the very back. Always walk in the middle." In a trembling voice, he said to himself, "What can we do? We can't protect our children anymore." I saw a gleam of excitement in Sanu's eyes. She busied herself cleaning the house and washing her father and brother's clothes. Then she packed her things in a small bag. She burst into tears when she saw a blouse and shawl which had belonged to her mother and sat sobbing beside them. Siddhartha and his friends returned in the evening. By then, Sanu's brother had come back from school. It was time for us to leave. Sanu came out of the house carrying her bag. The old man asked Siddhartha, "What if the soldiers punish me for letting my daughter go with you and for giving you food?" He replied, "They haven't dared come here since we blew up their post. Don't worry about it. This area is controlled by our army, our police, our government." As Sanu walked away with us, her brother called after her, "Come back soon, Didi." There were many new faces in our group by the time we entered the jungle.